everyone, Melissa here. Today I'm doing a spooky kind of dark graveyard sunset-y scene on Robin's nails. So far I've set out, I've dipped her with double dipped sweet black cherries, which is a really dark purple, on her pinky, pointer, and thumb. And then we're going to be doing an ombre on these two nails. And then we're going to be doing some artwork with lots of fun stuff. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I didn't even brush off this excess powder off of her fingers yet. This is where we are. So first thing I'm going to do with these nails, I've already prepped, dehydrated, done all of this stuff with it. I'm going to do a layer of dip base and let it dry. And that's because the natural oils in your nail cause the resin liquids to dry quicker. And we want a slower drying base coat for our ombre design. I'm gonna go ahead and open up both the colors we're gonna be using. For this ombre, I'm going to be using my e.l.f. eyeshadow brush. This is my favorite brush to use for ombres. I'm gonna be using sweet black cherries and raspberry jam, also by Double Dipped, for this. Okay, you wanna paint a layer of base on the nail, another one to work with. Nice clean layer. You're gonna grab your brush and stick in the powder. I'm gonna start with the color at the tip, so I'm gonna point her nail upward. I'm going to get a good amount of powder on there, and I'm just gonna tap over the nail so that it sprinkles downward from the tip of the nail onto the center. This first layer doesn't have to be perfect, it's mostly just to get the color down. And then we're going to grab the other color. You could use a different brush if you want. These colors are not going to ruin each other if I get a little bit of one and the other, so I wasn't too worried about it. Top off the excess. We're gonna go and do the other. And turn the nail a little from side to side. Make sure you cover the whole nail evenly. And then point downward for the second color. Brush off. Your coverage on that first coat isn't going to be great, and it's not going to look pretty, but that's okay because we're going to do a couple more. We're going to start with the other color this time. So I'm going to do another coat of base full coat. And this time we're going to start with raspberry jam, pointing the nail down and tapping the color on. So it just kind of falls lightly towards the center of the nail. And I'm tapping very lightly with the brush when I do this. Okay, your ombre should look a little more ombre now. We're going to do one more coat. This time again, starting with the tip color and finishing with the other color. All right, now we're just gonna brush off and see what we're left with. Hopefully it's good. Okay. I'm just going to activate and file everything. All right, so we're done filing and smoothing the nails. Here's our resulted ombre nails, and now we're going to do some art on them. So I have, it's just a basic Artist Loft white acrylic paint, and I'm going to use a little bit of that just to make a moon, a little bitty moon on one of her nails. So I'm just putting a touch of it, oh, more than I expected to, into my little heart paint tray. And I'm going to use, it's just a small detail paintbrush to draw on a little moon. I'm gonna make sure all the dust is wiped off of here and that the nails are buffed smooth. So I'm just getting a little bit of the paint on the brush, and I'm gonna do a little circle up here. I'm actually going to take the side of my finger and kind of dab it a little to pick some of that up. And if it spreads a little bit of the paint to the outside, that's okay, because the moon sometimes has a bit of a halo effect in the sky. I'm just gonna dab some of that paint up so that it's not perfectly white. And clean up any spots that don't look rounded to you, or anything you're not quite happy with. And then I'm actually going to take a pencil. Take a pencil and kind of add in a little bit of dark spots here and there. Give it that cratered effect that the moon has. You can rub those in a bit so they aren't perfect. Just adds a little cratered moon look. So it's not just a perfect white spot in the sky, as it shouldn't be. Okay. Now I'm just going to draw. I'm going to use my 3mm micron pen, and I'm going to just start drawing some design. So I'm going to kind of fill in the bottom and do a little bit of a grassy ground here. Just a little bit of a couple, do a little like cross here. A little bit of a tombstone kind of effect in the background. I'm gonna do a tree coming up this side. Kind of squiggly branches. Go in front of the moon, kind of gives a cool effect. Do some bats. come over here and give the same treatment down here at the bottom with the grass. Kind of coming up a little. Okay, now I'm going to do a layer of base over all of this. Just make sure that's overlapping nicely. And activate, and then I'm going to very lightly buff it just to give it a matte surface as opposed to a shiny one, because we're gonna do some work with the paint to add a kind of like a mist, rolling in on the graveyard kind of feel. So I'm going to very carefully float this over what we have so it doesn't smear anything. Once you know that is dry, take a very fine buffing block and just gently go over the surface. You don't want to buff through and you don't want to buff off what you've already drawn on. You just want to get rid of that shine, because paint goes best over kind of a mattified surface. Doesn't paint well onto shiny. To me, this is the trickiest part, because we're going to be adding more elements onto this design when we can barely see what's underneath once you've roughed that out, once you've gotten rid of that shine, but we'll make it work. Okay, so now I'm going to take another little brush I have. This is, I got this from Michael's. It has just a little bit of a edge to it here. Kind of gives a nice fine point that I can work with. I'm going to get that same white paint, but I'm going to dilute it quite a large amount. So I want a good amount of water here. Thunder. Just gonna add a little bit of the white to it. Don't want a lot. We just want a whisper of white. That's what we're calling that, a whisper of white. Okay. It's very, very diluted. It's very watery. I'm going to take it in, just kind of turn your finger this way. I know it's uncomfortable, but I'm gonna pull a line of this here across the nail. I'm gonna sit there for just a second. I'm wiping off the excess, kind of drying out the brush a little, so I can go in here and pick up the excess. Kind of leaves an imprint of the white. And I'm going to repeat that coming from the other side and coming to a point going this way. Okay, now I'm going to come back with my pen and I'm going to add just a few more little details. So we're going to do, we'll do like another bat here. Just do like a bat over the top of, on top of the mist, like it's in front of it. Alright, now I'm just going to do a layer of base over the top of that once it's dried, and then I will activate and top coat all of the nails and we'll see how this turned out. Alright, and here we go with our, it would focus, spooky graveyard scene. I think it turned out pretty good. I had initially had a completely different idea for the mist and it wasn't working the way I had planned. It wasn't working. It kind of didn't give me the look I wanted, so I switched at the last second, and I'm kind of liking the look of it. Let me know if you do too, and if you have any other questions or comments or suggestions, let me know. If you like my video, as always, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Every once in a while, I swear I feel like Bob Ross.